Open your eyes. Every question, every burden, every vision, I'll lay them out here. Art, life, death, all I've seen, all made clear.
When people think about esports, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Players, obviously, but there's so much more.
With the launch of the MasterCard Gamer Academy, we're providing 10 people who are passionate about League of Legends or Valorant and want to pursue a career in esports with the chance to learn what it takes. What it takes to manage a team.
Can we wrap this up? We need to scream.
Blue side here rests in Xiaohu's hands. Could be full Shadow Isles with a Maokai lock in here, but I don't know whether you're necessarily super excited about seeing a Maokai. We'll see where Xiaohu is going to go. I kind of expect a jungler just to keep these solo lanes a little bit more up in the air, unless they just want to grab the Aatrox and make sure that can't be banned away. But no, it is going to be the 3-piece Shadow Isles with the Maokai lock.
And specifically, Weiwei obviously had an amazing game. Wasn't enough, but his early ganks were really good. And if the team didn't fall behind the way that they did, might have been able to set up objectives the way we've seen Maokai do really since last year at Worlds. Champion has been around for a while now. Now, T1 can either try and secure owner his Rel if he wants to go in that direction. Poppy's another that we know he loves, and Poppy into Kalista specifically, I think, is a really good angle.
Sylas, also a good option. It's available for Faker this time, and anytime Maokai Guy's there, it's really, really strong to be able to have that counter engage. You basically just have them. More powerful version of that ultimate. Sen ult has some value for cross map as well, so definitely a strong angle, and also a pretty good denial pick for some of the things that you might expect them to go towards.
And also, it does mean that T1 is now forced to ban away. Blind Sylas can obviously be punished. The Jace, I think Xiao actually had a great game on the Jace last time around.
Yeah.
They were able to play around.
and Maokai ult.
There we go. So the Gwen going to be locked in here for Zeus. Something that has been picked into him in the past, but I won't talk about it too much. If you are a T1 fan, I imagine that is definitely going to cause some pain. But this is really, really fun. Zeus really fighting fire with fire there towards that top side once again into the Shai's Aatrox.
It's going to be interesting. We haven't really seen Gwen do that well at Worlds, to be honest, because it's one of these picks that takes a long time to turn online. And I feel like you've even seen Zeus play the opposite in this matchup, where he's going for the lethality build on Aatrox and really kind of has earlier and more powerful power spikes, because this Gwen is going to need a couple items before you really start to outshine what the Aatrox can do. That being said, if they can get to that point, T1 has an incredible 1-3-1. They really can attack those side lanes so heavily with the Nocturne as well. And you do have that flanking top laner that I was talking about as the final piece, Stolen Maokai ult. You have the hostile takeover, you have the Nocturne ult, you have a flanking Gwen. All of this being thrown at you with the lights turned off is so hard to deal with.
And my expectation as well is that with a lot of attention should go again towards the bot lane, we'll see how the Shy can recuperate after a pretty rough game one.
Exactly right, but fist bumps have come out between our coaches. It is time to get onto the Rift for game number 2. There is match point on the line for T1, and Weibo could bring us to a best of 3 here at Worlds 2023. And I think everyone is aligned in just wanting as many games as possible here in this final. The last couple of years have been pretty good as far as games in the finals are concerned. And so hopefully they can bring us to one of those, even if it could bring some heart attacks here to the Goshok Skydome. I imagine that it could be a difficult time.
Yeah, since 2018, it's only gotten better, right? We got 2 free zeros, that's not so great, a free 1, and then back-to-back free 2s.
Yeah.
And those are the most fun and stressful.
Certainly the
And
most
fun.
stressful and the most fun. Chronically, you're exactly right. And here we are into game number 2. Weibo gathering up towards this bottom side. And T1 not going to be walking too close to where all 5 members were positioned. So nothing to worry about too much. And you guys can remember, you can log into your Riot account on lolesports.com and watch Worlds live to earn exclusive Worlds emotes and icons. And we'll see whether Weibo or T1 are going to be flexing any of those here in the game.
And you can see that side lane ward here from Weibo trying to maintain side lane advantage. They have to be winning out in this 2v2. They need to utilize that Kalista to be the one stacking dragons, much like T1 did last time. But T1 did take the time. Zeus went in, got that deep ward, so then I have full info on where Weiwei is going to be starting. Is going to be looking for this top towards bot clear, because it's going to be this classic Weibo playstyle that we have seen so much of at Worlds. Focus towards bot with the Kalista. You have to have it.
Also have both junglers pathing towards the bot side of the map, but obviously Weiwei going to be way stronger early on Owner, mainly looking to cover in case they do see Weiwei show up in the bot side. Do note that they do have a ward on his blue, so the T1 bot lane is very aware as,
Yeah,
the bot
flash
lane!
already out from Gumayusi. His light's relatively low as well, but that is definitely a trade that goes incredibly well here for Weibo. Zeus also taking a fair bit of damage towards this top side. Weibo Gaming, they are not backing down yet.
Yeah, it's getting spicy here early on. Chris trades out his heal, but they get the flash off Guma, the ignite off Keria. Light pretty low as well, but they can just push this in, potentially look to reset, and maybe if Weiwei is coming down here, set themselves up in a great position. But look at Owner looking for this wraparound here. Yeah. Xiaohu likely can walk it out, but we'll see if he's forced to use the Summoner.
He's level 2, so doesn't have it. There's the flash chain. That is going to get the flash out from Xiaohu. His Owner is going to back away. Will have his spell shield available. Not going to be too worried about any charms or anything like that.
It is kind of a repeat of what happened in mid lane last time, though, and then Faker was the one punished by Weiwei with that missing Summoner, so we'll have to see if Weiwei can get around mid lane and help Xiaohu out again.
Big difference this time around is that Owner doesn't actually have Prio in his bot side. Last time, could go very aggressive because of Zeus having the Prio. Not going to be the case here, and you see as well, he wants to harass, but he needs to respect that Light and Crisp have shoved in that ball wave and can rotate over at any moment's notice, and falling behind with your Nocturne early can be a bit rough.
Exactly, and Owner spent the time to do that, so he's only completed the 3 camps. Weiwei is about 2 full camps ahead now at this point, as he's going to finish up the Gromp before the Wolves are completed there, so we'll have a little bit more tempo on the map. Light just going to take this early recall here as they've bounced the wave on bot side. Chris making sure there's no sort of a freeze going on, because Guma had to take a super early base and a horrible buy, as all he was able to get was the refillable on that first base. So Guma's going to be in a pretty tough spot when you compare with what Light has on the other side.
Yeah, it looks like Light pretty happy to go towards the Callista that was so incredibly effective for T1 in the last game. And once again, it's a composition from T1 that, like we've been talking about, does want to have these advantages around the map, does want to get towards these Drakes, trying to play for these side lanes, because if you don't have that tempo advantage, things can go wrong. As the Shy does take a bit of damage here from Zeus, but just some biffo back and forth between the two top laners, and both of these champions having a fair bit of sustain.
That's
so
a good,
should be all right.
yeah, good adaptation as well from Weibo. Instead of opting into Sylas, Ben, they make sure that the Ashe is taken away. I think Ashe in particular can make any Kalista lane really hard to play out. And by making sure that you also deny it to Guma and Keria, who can flex it. Don't know if they actually want to opt into that, but have done it, of course, in the past. Secure yourself a good early matchup. And we'll see if they're able to push it further, particularly if you can get an early kill on the Draven. Could be big as Weiwei.
Yeah, Ward is here as well. Zeus going to be ghosting immediately. There's a twisted advance. Zeus does create some space though on the Bramble Smash, pushes him closer to home. He will have to go back, and now with the Ghost on cooldown, a little bit more susceptible to those ganks.
And nicely timed on the skip and slash there from Zeus. Pops the Ghost early, has the E buffered as the twisted advance comes through. So he ends up on the opposite side of Weiwei, so the Bramble Smash can't knock him back, and now Owner on the invade here, trying to put on some pressure again.
Oh, that's a really high value vision cone there for Weiwei. Spots both the ward and Owner.
And look at the pickaxe advantage. So there's no way that Weiwei can fight. He hasn't based yet. Owner did go back to base, has that additional AD, and Weiwei knows he can't win that.
Yeah, and the whole time Faker is backing towards that top side as well, and so they know they can't go and contest that Gromp. It should mean that Owner can collect himself this Wolf Camp as well. So the advantages in the jungle are continuing to blossom here for T1, but on the bottom side of the map, Light's still holding that advantage.
Yeah, it's big there for T1 though, because it turns what was a really rough play, a gank towards Zeus, into a really big win. He immediately teleports back, is able to get Prio. The Shy hasn't had a window yet, and they use that to get Owner faster to his level 6, with him now having a CS lead.
And something we haven't talked about at all, it's going to be AD Ahri, because he is playing Fleet Footwork and he has the Kerchi's Shard. So
oh, yeah.
I think it is going to be Static Shiver. I think this is going to be AD Ahri. We've seen quite a lot of this online. This is kind of the new evolution of what we were seeing with AD LeBlanc and that sort of style. I'm not sure if he is going to go like full on AD on hit, or more just that similar build where you go Shiv into Lichbane and play the Night Harvester as well. That's the most common one I've been seeing online. But obviously trying to be able to side lane and trying to be able to kind of slam home an advantage here as this range versus melee matchup into Faker. So it's a very different style of Ahri than we just saw, and I'm excited to see it because I think this is the first pro game that I can recall seeing it in.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet either. So interested to see what Xiaohu is going to be able to get done on this version of the Ahri. And I have to have a feel that the Ahri AD variety should be better in lane against Faker as well. Don't really need to land as many spells if you just right-click people. I like that idea. But Weibo going to be able to grab themselves the first Drake. Should mean the scuttle here as well from Weiwei is getting double duty done. They are going to be able to grab this off the back of their very, very, very supreme control of this bottom lane.
Yeah, this all goes back to the level 1. Light and Crisp playing it out early on very, very well. And one of the things that we haven't really talked about yet that the Draven can struggle with is not having a jungler that can enable you. As I say, that Owner is in top.
Yeah, Zeus dashing forward. The needlework is out. Snip, snip. Going to connect, but doesn't do too much. And in goes Owner. The flash out. That was incredible from the Shy. Owner gets taken down to, oh my goodness, about one health. But will be able to walk away. But I don't think he's going to be excited about ganking the Shy anytime soon. Although Zeus is just going to go. That is just not fair.
That is the Shy encapsulated, the massive outplay into the overstay. He has the 1v2. He likes his odds in the 1v1, and that is such a costly death because he has no TP, gives up first blood with 2 stacked waves at his tower. That is catastrophic for Weibo's chances.
Unfair.
That is it. So initially he outplays it, gets the Q while dashing back, denies the fair. and then he goes back in. Not only is it Zeus getting a kill, which in this snowbally matchup is extremely rough, but it also means that Owner's first ult was a success. The first ult on Nocturne is so big, he gets his early Ultimate Hunter stack, he gets a ton of assist golds, and that was an unforced error.
Yeah, I mean, he eat in, right? You could just stay at your tower and farm it up. He didn't want to lose the wave, but he's the one who goes aggressive. Now he's going to get zoned off the bot wave, so T1 punishing so heavily here.
Yeah, the flash forward from Keria finds the handshake this time. The Infernal Chains come in, he's lit on fire, he's speared, and Gumayusi cashes in.
It's the Shy getting way down in this game now as Weibo have their bot lane up top. Zeus will not be an easy dive here. He is healthy and he's got the ultimate back. They're going to look for it though.
Yeah, we'll see what he can get done here. The flash twisted advance comes in, and now Zeus just trying to do what he can to stay alive. It's working! And he's going to be able to dash back towards the minions. Now Faker turns up. He's got his own Nature's Grasp, but Xiaohu is going to join this one, and Zeus is running the wrong direction. We'll see how much time he's going to be able to buy here, because maybe this is an execute as he heads toward the turret, and there it is.
Oh my god, everything is going T1's way. It's the Shy. Now shows up in his third lane. Top lane didn't work, bot lane's not working. Hey, let's check out mid lane.
Worked out a little bit better here. As you can see, Owner walks away with half of his health bar. The Shy able to win out in that one. But man, that was a lot of things that happened. Chronicler, break it down for us.
And it is Weibo opting in when they've already gotten the win, trying to get too much out of the play, because yes, Guma gets a kill. The early cash in for the Draven is really rough with the Shy going down, but they got the Herald. They can play it a little bit slower, try to zone away Zeus, and then crash the Herald, get a ton of plates into Light, and then try to play from there. But they try to get more, and it backfires.
And I think they're feeling a little bit of that sense of desperation. You lose game one, things start going bad in game two. You feel that you need to get even more. But T1 in such an incredible spot here now, and that kill for the Draven was so critical, because Draven from behind is such a weak champion, but when you're able to snowball, it can really be a different story. And he's now 300-400 gold ahead of his opponent.
Yep, exactly right. And okay, Faker diving in here towards Xiaohu, of course. This is our featured matchup, thanks to Mercedes-Benz. And some scuffle, but not too much more than that. We are just going to back away. So I got a little bit overexcited. That is fine. Keria going to be snared here for a moment. It's Gumayusi down here, like you say, with that extra money. But his Draven didn't work out for him. Last time he played it, of course, in the finals against Gen G. Hasn't played it this tournament yet, though, and this is one of his favorites.
And next comes the setup for the Ocean Drake. Weibo already picked one up early, and with the Kalista, I really want to try and opt into this. We haven't really talked about the scaling aspect between these two teams. I think that both teams have some parts that feel like they scale really well, particularly the Senna, and I think that Maokai remains very high in value just by the virtue of his ultimate. But on the flip side, particularly with Zeus already getting ahead and Owner starting to stack his Ultimate Hunter, if Weibo don't snowball objectives early, I think it's going to be such a nightmare trying to play into this T1, because they can get so much in the side, and collapsing becomes really hard because of the Nocturne.
And the build from Xiaohu, I'm finding a little bit confusing, because he did start with the Kerchi Shard, and now he's going into what looks like a Liandry's here.
So it looked like instead we've backed off like 5 patches or something.
I think we've seen this before. It reminds me of what Showmaker used to do. I think it was LeBlanc. It might have been Ari versus Galio, where you go fleet and early AD just to have an extra edge in lane.
Yeah.
But it is a lot of gold that you invest, and as we can see, Faker, not even taking into account first strike gold, has been able to stay on parity on the Sylas.
Absolutely, and it's going to make it that much more difficult when you're talking about in the 5v5s, dealing with Guma and dealing with some of these champions in the backline that he's going to be trying to burst down. That job becomes that much harder when you don't have the extra electrocute damage, when you don't have that early mythic completion. But it is going to be Weibo taking the second dragon here. We know it's not going to be a Chemtech Soul, so it should be a good one.
Yeah, and it's also going to be a teleport in T1, not wanting to give this one up as Faker turns up. Nature's Grasp going to guarantee the dragon, the hostile takeover, chasing Weiwei, but just dissipates before it gets there. Once again, it's going to be a Cloud Soul. Love to see it. I could imagine that Weiwei is pretty upset about that. But remember, we're taking the Drake for Water's sake. And there's a fight towards this top side. The Shy taken down to about 50% health. He's trying to avoid the potential needlework. There were none more remaining, and Zeus is going to back away. But remember, We've teamed up with Amazon Web Services for a new campaign called Take the Drake for Water's Sake. For every ocean drake taken, AWS will make a donation to water.org. That drake was the 47th ocean drake slain since Worlds 2023 Swiss stage.
And we can have it both ways. We get the Ocean Drake and still a Cloud Soul.
I know, isn't it glorious?
It's beautiful.
That's absolutely fantastic. We've washed off the Chemtech with the ocean, and then it's now windy.
Now we're
Yeah.
enjoying ourselves in the breeze.
Oh, it's just fantastic.
Well, and Zeus from this.
Ui.
Far ahead of the Shy. Cloud Soul would be terrifying if he's going to be able to get that. It's actually so good on Gwen. Weibo are pushing heavily on bot side. Closing in on 40 CS deficit. He is going to be obviously able to pick up some of this to even that out a little bit, but the additional kill is also in Zeus' pocket. And this is a matchup where, as the Gwen, when you get through those earlier stages, you can outscale. When you're getting towards multiple items, it just kind of gets better for you. So the Shy is going to have to turn in an incredible performance, and we can see it in the MasterCard lane economy snap. Snapshot, it is heavily favored towards Zeus, who had a really good game 1 and is set up for success here in game 2.
And I tell you what, if you're a Zeus fan, you're feeling absolutely fantastic that he's having this kind of performance in a final. Because these have been the times where he has crumbled in the past, and so far it's been back-to-back games where he is the guy.
And this has been the story for this T1 roster. You know, they have been so close so many times. 4 times they have lost in an international game 5 and not been able to claim that big title they've been chasing, but Zeus showing up so far.
Yep, another teleport to come in here as they do manage to secure this Rift Herald. We'll see whether Weibo can get themselves out of here like... Going to be hostile takeover, but he's the only one, and now Zeus looking for the target. Faker dives in though as well. He's going to collect the first with the help of Ona. The Shy goes down, the rest of Weibo will scatter, but they do get the objective and only lose 1 for now.
And Weibo gonna be happy that they, at the very least they did get the Herald, but they did have to invest a lot. Teleport used by T1, but outside of that, and Gumayusi's plans not too much look on the other end. No flash for Weiwei, no flash for Light. Those are going to be big cooldowns in the possible fight for Soul Point that I think Weibo was going to be looking for in about 2 minutes.
That stolen Maokai ult from Faker got incredible value. Weibo was kind of panicking. They had to make a run for it here. And Weibo are able to secure it, but it's Faker on such a good angle, coming in from the top of your screen, able to find this stolen Maokai ult. Weiwei uses his to just try to disengage the hostile takeover, but look at the angle here from Faker. Everyone from Weibo sent packing. They're trying to line up to avoid it, but the flashes have to be used.
And that is with Xiao, who doing so much heavy lifting. Keeps Keria and Guma out of the fight. Keria was also unable to hit anyone, and he's giving me really big barrel energy with the amount of
off, and then this wave comes across you. It's not a lot of reaction time to deal with that if everything else is going on as well.
Additionally, Guma was able to pick up another kill. So this Draven is by no means the main carry of T1, but now Zeus is fed, Guma is fed, and Owner is fed. Oh, they might get a catch here. Not going to find Carrier, but there's so much that you need to deal with.
Exactly right. And just quickly, win probability powered by AWS definitely starting to trend towards T1 in this game. 7-1 in kills, but at the beginning of the game, you could see there on the graph, Weibo was certainly getting themselves into decent positions. We'll see whether they can claw some of that back. It is only a 4,000 gold lead here for T1 so far. Definitely surmountable.
And while we haven't talked as much about this Draven, and you said it, he's been getting these kills, he's actually the richest member on T1. He's the richest person in the game now at this point, which is kind of crazy after how badly this early game started. He has been cashing in, and Weibo trying to start something here.
Here's another one that Nature's Grasp. They all line up behind, but it's a decent charm to come through there. Hostile takeover for some phenomenal disengage, and it looks like T1, they don't want to deal with it. Faker dashes over the wall. Remember, they don't have a turret here. The charm is going to split them. Carrier tries to get it. He goes forward and then just explodes, and then Owner thinks that that's his moment. It's a double again for this Nocturne, and he survives. The logistics protocol coming in from Carrier to make sure that the Nocturne doesn't burn down.
It's a massacre. Weibo again try to get something, and initially the play looks good, but I think the sidestep from Carrier there, he doesn't get caught, and with Renata alive, it becomes so hard. While all of that was happening, the Shy was rotating over. Zeus just backed.
Yeah, Zeus isn't even here. They decide, hey, we gotta go now. We're falling behind. The initial play looks good as Owner gets chunked down so incredibly low. Xiaohu flying in, but this is the sidestep that you're talking about right here as Xiaohu goes for it with the last charge there. Both Guma and Carrier, beautiful sidestep, and then Crisp gets thrown in, but it's a flash out from Guma. It's a turn, and it is the one shot from the Draven.
And the one shot from the Nocturne as well, using himself as a bullet into that backline and secures the kill on to Xiaohu. Also, the Dustbringer, I believe, got the kill in the first place. So this Nocturne is just massive.
And it is, again, also a testament to how powerful Renata is. Owner can go for these mega aggressive plays, knowing that as long as he kills his target, he will be able to be bailed out by the rest of his team.
And honestly, even if he dies from this position, because the carries are so fed, it's going to be worth it, right? As long as you are creating space for Guma, for Zeus, for Faker, even if it is that one-way trip here for the Nocturne, it's going to be such a value play as long as they can follow up. And T1 have been on the same page. Weibo seem like their only answer is just forcing more and more fights. You can't win side lane. You can't win 5v5. Your objective stacking has been stopped. It is getting close to checkmate in game number 2.
It's really hard as well, considering the fact that T1 had already built themselves a 1-3-1 composition. There is no comp in the game that is more just win more, right? Because you have win conditions that build upon themselves with a composition like this, where Zeus and Faker can get control of these side lanes all game long. Tempo, something that Weibo is going to have to really, really muscle.
Oh.
Yeah, that is a bit of item in advantage. Yeah.
And when the Shy shows up to a team fight, he is going to have to be absolutely perfect to get anything done because you are so squishy. If you can't get that first kill for the Dustblade proc to be able to survive, you are going to be paper because one little CC hits you, Guma's going to kill you instantaneously. He's got 0 armor, he's got 0 HP purchased. So this Aatrox is going to be really squishy.
Additionally, Weibo, after game number 1, obviously tried to pivot, try to play much to a bot side, and even with them setting Guma up for a deficit, the main issue is just the other lanes. T1 has been able to get the counter pick towards top side twice, and Weibo, you gotta imagine, if T1 is able to play it out from here, have to try something else, because this blind Aatrox, even when protected with bans, just isn't working out.
And I think we have to talk about the journey that Owner has had. You know, he is one of the players that has been so criticized throughout this year. And how good has he been in this series? How good has he been at Worlds?
And this whole tournament, exactly. And on tanks normally, right? But this Nocturne performance, he is playing reserved. He is going in at the right times. This is an Owner that is playing extraordinarily well.
And it also goes back to when Owner initially looked to be his most dominant. His Lee is his most iconic champion, right? Yeah. It's more the carry style as we get a charm.
Yeah, Faker is going to break it. Oh no, he uses it in order to close distance back again, I guess. But never mind, nothing too much more going to happen. T1 with the opportunity to stack 4 Cloud Drakes.
when you
And they're
talk
going to
about
start with the second.
exactly when you talk about the comfort and the ability to go towards things like the Lee Sin, I think that has been somewhat indicative of what T1 have wanted to do here at Worlds and the meta shifts that they have brought in as owner, maybe looking for a fight.
Yeah, they find the Shy, but he just umbrally dashes over the wall. He will keep himself alive as Weibo just regrouping once again, spotting out the members of T1 moving back from that Drake. And now moving towards the Baron pit. It is 25 minutes into the game, and T1 hasn't gone for a Baron just yet. You can see that they have changed a little bit.
Very reserved.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've really matured, you know.
The Baron's been alive for 5 minutes.
Now they give it like 5 minutes.
This is not by T1.
I think because they were near the Baron pit, though, they have remembered.
counts.
So
Does
I
it count?
imagine we're going to be playing around that now.
Oh, okay. I thought you were
Yeah.
going to say it counts as them starting and you're just walking by,
No.
saying hi to an old
Yeah.
friend.
No, I don't think that that's necessarily how it works.
But it's just been so fun to watch T1 because they have been on the forefront of these meta shifts, right? You know, Keria, when it was this double AD carry meta in the bot lane, he was incredible. Being able to bring that back, being able to have Owner on Lee Sin, Guma here on this Draven, being able to see these iconic picks and their comfort is working out so well.
Oh, Paranoia comes in once again as the flash out from the Shy may not be enough. They're under the turret. Owner was tanking it up, and Zayas is going to finish it. Inner turret should now be next on the clock.
And because the rest of T1 is standing guard, Weibo can't try and turn the fact that Owner is towards bot into a Baron, so they just have to watch their teammate get killed through Merc Treads and a Hex Drinker as well.
Yeah, and teleport's still available, so it was only ever going to be a 4v4 anyway.
It is a 4,000 gold lead in top lane, almost 4,500 gold in top lane. That is just ridiculous now at this point. This lead for Zayas is becoming just a nightmare for them to deal with. He has the Cosmic Drive finish now. He's so far ahead of the pace of this game that no one can answer him, and it just felt bad for Crisp. Every time he's popping a Sentinel, it's just been to watch his teammate die.
And he doesn't even get to watch because the lights are out.
He doesn't even get to... that's why would you have to remind me? I
know, it's very cruel.
That's painful.
I'm still remembering back to the Shy outplaying a 1v2
And then,
and then walking back into the 1v1. As
Owner.
He's going to get charmed. It's a decent amount of damage, but he is very far ahead, and he will just be able to wander his way out.
And the problem for me now is that reactively, the Weibo comp, individually they can pick up very well, but if you don't get to the objective first, it becomes very hard to contest, and right now that's not the case.
Yeah, they're definitely not there first. The Baron is down very, very low. There's the Paranoia as they look to try and burst down the Baron. They do collect it, and now the hijacked ultimate comes through from Faker. Now Zayas dives in. He's taken matters into his own hands. He hasn't taken any damage. Weiwei has to run away. He gets thrown back by the Bramble Smash, but the damage has already been done. Faker goes golden, does have to flash as Light's doing a fair bit of work with these Rens into the back line. But T1 just took a Baron, they got 5 out.
And Gwen truly is immune. Zayas doesn't care, dives into multiple people and uses his lead very aggressively. And this is where I think you really see the goal difference. Weibo get close in a couple of situations, get some health bars low, and if they had items that might have been enough, but instead they just have to watch T1 walk it off. The only thing invested is a flash and a stopwatch from Faker.
Exactly, and Weiwei just can't actually close the gap to even contest the Baron because the hostile takeover comes through, then the stolen Maokai ult comes through. By the time he's out of CC, the Baron is already gone, and Zayas is running rampant in the back line. T1 just getting further and further ahead. Guma still doesn't even have boots, by the way, but he does have a Bloodthirster and 3 items.
Okay, yep, Kamushi just having a good time, and he knows that he is not the main character necessarily. He's just been able to sit back. And
It's
he
'cause
takes
of the Glow
himself his
Drakes!
turret, and
He doesn't
yes.
need boots!
Oh, that is true! Everyone's Cassiopeia on T1 now. Be prepared. Everybody else actually bought boots, though, which is a little bit of a shame, not making up for it. The Rebel Baron power play already at 2-2, 2-2. That was actually cool that I looked up at the top there when it was a whole lot of 2s.
Nice.
And 1 minute until a potential soul point for both teams. T1 at a 10,000 gold lead, though, or at least very, very close. Should be able to grab advantage and secure that for themselves.
And this is the problem. Once you fall behind against a 1-for-1 comp with a Nocturne, like, what do? If you try to collapse, Nocturne presses R, you don't know how many people are coming, you don't know how many people are responding, and T1, they're looking for more.
Yep, Xiaohu already taking a bit of poke damage. Light will turn up. As 4 members are here, teleport a bit not available for the Shy, but they dive in, the turret goes down, the needlework just rips the center to shreds, and Zayas just by himself destroying everyone! Hostile takeover comes in, Light has the cleanse, but you can't cleanse death, it's a triple kill for Zayas! get to work on the inhibitor. It might just be the game right here.
Zeus playing like his namesake. A god, this guy is going crazy in the finals.
Just extraordinary as Zeus helps clear up this second Nexus turret, and T1 at match point already.
And by the end of that game, the kill score is 1-14.
That was a little bit even more one-sided than the last game. And T1 really on the back of Zeus, the man who had been performing less good, we should say, in some of these finals in the past, really showing up here today. This is exactly what we've been touting for this guy for so long. But T1 are one game away from clinching their 4th Worlds title. But before we get into break, let's have a look at some of the amazing behind-the-scenes footage of the finals tease, thanks to the OppoCam.
2-0.
it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good. Fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts. I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong. I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud. Never running out, never heading out. I'm sitting out, follow what I'm out. Can't put me down, I'm in now. Never doubt, not what I'm about. I just think loud, it be raining out. I keep making sound, go another round. I'm legend bound, can't stop me now. Cause I just wanna hear it out your mouth, yeah. Give me fuel, it's a tool that I use to go ahead and run my mouth, yeah. I take shots, I take loss, I make shots, I miss lots. I tell you get big box, you get yachts, you swing lots and pop off a big shot. I ain't done chasing, got big dreams, bigger things, impatient. Who's at the top think they need replacement? Who's at the top think I'm gonna erase that, face it. I don't give up quick, I don't give up, I won't give up this. Cause I know that I want it, know that I'm on it, I'll make it, I promise. Oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show. So have you ever felt cause I know you got me. God, let me show you what's up. Cause enough is enough. I'll take a face full of commitment just to make a statement. I know there's no turning back. So bad I can taste it. I know there's no turning back.
massive stuff. This is just going to be a collection of the highlight reel from both of these players so far.
And they feel so well prepared. I mean, Zeus has the Yone for game number 1 as an answer to the Aatrox, and then you see the ban come through for the Yone, and Weber are like, we got them in the corner, and then the Gwen comes out and they kind of slaps them straight back into that corner. So it kind of feels like for T1, they've come very well prepared, and Zeus is now benefiting off the fact that he's had a phenomenal series on champions that can do so well into what the Shy is trying to do.
And then you mentioned it, but the Nocturne ultimate, key part of the composition overall, when you have the double melee solo laners looking to close the distance, really makes it happen.
Absolutely, and Emily, you've mentioned it before, but we cannot overstate how different Owner looked when Faker was not around, how much he had to struggle in that period in summer, and how much he is also looking for redemption for not just last year, but just all those finals that they couldn't get.
Yeah, and I think you see it here with the 82% kill participation across the first 2 games. He's been such an instrumental part at this World Championship, not only of the level 1s that we've kind of been highlighting throughout the tournament, but then also all of their early gameplays and their setup for team fights as well.
If you see it there, the hallway that the players get on stage with, it has all the teams that have won Worlds and their members engraved on the wall, and I think that's such a beautiful shot, because as Weibo, you're walking past there thinking, am I ever going to be in this position again? All these heroes have before. And in the same vein, for T1, some of their names are already up there.
I was going to say, I mean, there's 3 champions that are up there, but it's one person that you want to focus on. It's Faker, who's having a fantastic series. And coming into this now, you can see that for T1, it has been a bit of a heartbreaking story, as 1 out of the last 7 finals they've been able to pick up. Spring 2021 versus Gen G. But this is now the moment where this finally gets to solidify for this roster. If they can take this next game and push themselves into one of those moments where they become the great teams in the history of League of Legends.
Yeah, and I can't get over how perfect that would be as a end cap to this team, right? Because we've been talking about what is missing of this team that has been so dominant over the past few years, but it's been missing that major international title. To be able to do it at the tournament where they weren't necessarily coming in as the favorite. They were thought of as a good team, but they weren't coming in as the favorite. They had a very rough summer with Faker's injury. A lot of their players looked out of sync. Came back, made it to LCK finals, lost again, then came into this tournament, helped dictate the meta on Korean soil. The last LCK team left.
It's don't break the desk yet.
It's too crazy because it has been 7 years since Faker's been able to win a world championship. And all of these players on this team have been that heartbreak team that gets so much criticism for choking in finals, and especially Zeus. So I'm most happy for these players to really finally be able to break that and have this full comeback mode. That's why there's so much pressure behind all of these players, because this is truly them putting in so much work, and it's after they have tasted loss and tasted heartbreak that it will taste so sweet if they can complete it.
Faker said this 4th one would be for my teammates, and I feel like the teammates have said the same about him because they're playing out of their minds. The question is, can they finish it right now, right here? Back to our casters.
Thank you so much, Shox, and everyone for breaking that one down. It is looking dire for Weibo. That is that's all we can really say here. We'll see whether they can turn it around, of course. Match point for T1 has been a pain point for them in the past, but it hasn't looked like this, gentlemen.
And we'll see if Weibo can find a solution in this final draft. To me, the Aatrox going to be the #1 thing I'm looking at. Because yes, Zeus is good on it, but I feel like blinding it has not worked out. Need to pivot away from that. But that does open up so many other difficulties, right? Because what else is T1 going to throw you? It doesn't really feel like they've been tested yet in draft in this specific series.
Yeah, I think for Weibo, if you have anything left, any secret pick, any different strategy, it's time to just throw it out there and see if it's going to work, because they have been dominated by T1 through both the first and second game. They tried that kind of splash into AD Ahri, ended up selling the Kerchies Shard. I don't think it really accomplished anything. They've seen some little different looks. We saw that the Senna plus the Glista, that didn't really work for them either. So if there's anything left for Weibo, you got to bring it out now.
Is it the Emperor of Shurima, though? And it is. It's going to be locked in for Xiaohu. This is his oldest signature pick from Even back when I was casting the LPL, he was definitely a lover of this one. And speaking of lovers, the duo themselves going to be locked in here by T1, favorites of them also.
Really big pivot here coming out from T1. I was actually thinking about the Kalista. That to me seemed like a pickup that could come through, but with the Renata gone, doesn't look like they want to prioritize it quite the same way. I would love the Poppy. I think that Poppy Azir specifically is a really strong combo, and it's also one of Weiwei's best champions. We'll see what owner ends up picking up into it, but I do think that Weibo are kind of forced to pick up a bot lane here to prevent getting banned out.
Yeah, and they're clearly not sure if they want to go for Poppy here, so they're just buying themselves a little bit more time. They do grab Varus, and will it be a full bot lane to answer, or will he go towards that Poppy? Because I agree, Weiwei, it is his best champion. It's great as an answer to the Rakan. It answers a lot of the meta top laners that we're seeing today as well. But there is that risk of, if you don't grab your bot laner now, you could get banned out, and potentially things could go terrible in the bottom lane.
No, you're exactly right. Well, speaking of the bottom lane, a lot of pressure here if the Heimerdinger is going to be locked in, but instead it's the Bard, and this is a big question on a lot of people's minds. Is Crisp happy to bring this one out? It's one of the ones that Keria has looked fantastic on, and now it's going to be Crisp's turn at the champion. See whether it is going to work out here, as now Shu is on the T1 foot.
It is an interesting pick, but generally I like Bard as the later pick in the draft. When you have multiple immobile carries, I think it's really strong. But now T1 can just go champions that have dashes, that have the ability to actually avoid this ultimate. And already you have a call. You can dodge it with your R, you can dodge it with your E, you can have the speed up from your W to move out of it. So there's a lot of ways already there. Plus Xayah can ult for ult. That's not the best trade, but this is not like an Ashe or Iana type team that Bard I think is going to have an incredible amount of success into. So even if Crisp has a good game, I don't think that really guarantees you anything with the pick from this angle.
And I was actually looking towards the Sylas, even with no Maokai yet being picked up. We've seen that be a really popular counter pick into the Azir. It is going to be the Akali instead. Obviously does suffer a little bit more in lane, but once you get to the side lane, incredible amount of damage that can come out, and we've seen T1 use any form of side lane pressure really well within the series thus far. Also do note, with the Varus already being there, and I wouldn't be surprised if Weibo try to do the same thing that T1 have done into a lot of these Xayah Rakan lanes, which is go very bot focused, right? Because we already have the Varus and the Bard, we don't know what the jungler is going to be, and they want to deny the Wukong as a way to reliably getting to that back line.
And if the Poppy is banned away, which is the champion? It's most fun to play. It is going to be the Lee Sin. And once again, owner is going to be on his signature pick. And now, with counter pick going towards either technically, you know, Zeus or Faker, but probably Zeus. A difficult choice now for the Shy. Does he run it back?
Bel'Veth.
Third time in a row. Bel'Veth going to be locked in here. The Shy thinking about the Electric Rat. And it is going to be the cannon locked in. Now, what is the answer from Zeus?
It could just be something like a Gnar if he wants to play it a little bit more safe. I do think you want to be pretty careful about what you're playing into a Kennen plus a Bel'Veth. A lot of times we've seen it heavy on the invades, heavy on that top side pressure. Something like a Gnar, you know, would keep you relatively safe, but the Aatrox, this is a confident pick. I feel like if he's going Aatrox into the Kennen Bel'Veth, that is some scary stuff, but Zeus has been playing out of his mind this entire series, and we'll have to see if it's going to work for them. But I respect Weibo taking a big pivot here, right? They go towards Comfort with the Azir. They go towards something very different on the top side with the Kennen Bel'Veth. They go towards Bard. They can move around the map. They can set up fights. They can be able to try to potentially, you know, group up around this Bel'Veth, invade owner heavily, and see if they can find a way into this series.
And in the previous games, and in a lot of the games where T1 have looked as dominant as they did, it's all about the lane prio. Do they have early laning leads? Can they push those to the furthest? When I look at the lanes here, that's not going to be the case. Even if Zeus and Faker play the matchup extremely well, for the first 6 levels at the very least, barring any major owner or carrier interference, you're not going to have the best of times. Same for bot lane, Varus, Bard, going to be really tough to deal with. So I do think that Weibo have a lot of prio setup, and compare that or add the Bel'Veth to that, might be their opportunity to find their way back into the series.
No, I agree. I think pivoting away from these Maokai drafts that we've seen over and over again is going to be a breath of fresh air for this team, and that's precisely what they need with their backs this far against the wall in the World Final.
And I think more than anything, they need a good start, right? They need a confidence booster. They need something to go right for them early here that they can rally around, that they can build that confidence in, and really just try to get into a comfort zone, because they have looked nervous, they have looked uncomfortable. T1, from the time they walked out on the stage, looked cool, calm, collected, and it has showed in their play.
It absolutely has, and I just want to see some play that is going to show me why Danny had such a huge grin on his face when he was walking back from the coach's booth with the team. And here we are to find out on to the Rift for game number 3. Match point for T1 as they are up 2-0 in this series. See whether they're going to be ending the world final in this one or whether Weibo Gaming can bring us to at least a game 4.
And T1 themselves know that just being at match point, not going to be enough.
And you can connect your League of Legends account with Prime Gaming, grab the exclusive Braum W emote. We might not be able to say this again, so just make sure
do it now.
You do it now.
You gotta be quick.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't, but you know, you do got to do it.
Yeah, you should do it.
I mean, you can also do it post-finals, right?
Right, but as long as you do it, that's
the important part.
Yeah.
Need that emote.
Yeah.
And I think that we saw last year with the run that DRX was able to make, that just being in a rough position, looking like you're down and out, that in of itself doesn't mean that the series is lost. And I think we see it both in T1, how much more, as you were saying, calm and collected, not just when they came out, but particularly when you see them. And this also goes back to the series against JDG, where even when they got the early wins, there was no apparent joy, right, that you'd expect, because they know just because you're up 2-0 doesn't mean that if Weibo doesn't get this game, gets a good angle in draft, can bring it back.
And look at this start here from T1. It was Owner starting over on the Raptors, and he actually got leashed on Raptors by Zeus because they were so nervous about that potential invade that Bel'Veth teams have been doing so often. Also worth noting that Crisp, level 1, ran straight top and gave a lane ward to the Shy, which is going to deny the ability for Zeus to poke in and out of that brush, drop aggro, be able to hide and use that. So really emphasizing that play towards the top side. And we'll see where Weiwei does want to go, because he is just power farming on his bot side for now. So we'll be clearing up towards top, but no sort of a move towards an invade.
Yep, going to be able to finish off his red buff. We'll then get things sorted as Faker here on his 5th unique champion of the tournament, as we have a look at all of the lanes so far. Weibo actually with great position as far as tempo and control is concerned.
Yeah, and this is what we were talking about. This should be heavily in favor of Weibo. We do see Faker is able to put in a little bit of pressure. I think that's partially because they're not 100% certain where Owner is. I don't think he was tracked early on, but both for the Shy and for Crisp and Light, they're able to find the early leads. Now the question is, can they maybe set up, say, a double scuttle or get an early back? The Shy also did go for call, so is looking to try and play as aggressively as possible while naturally being able to get ahead just by the virtue of cashing out.
Yep, Light getting some Bel'Veth wards in there as well, just to give Weiwei the opportunity to get towards the enemy jungle. Right now, he is just finishing off his top side. Is going to be able to get that one through, and then it is Rift Scuttlers that we're looking at as T1 moving a little bit further forward is Carrier, but not going to be punished too hard, just loses 50% of his health bar. And we are just going to see Weiwei on this ward for T1. So Vision given over, some information there T1 do gather in this early stage.
And it could mean Owner goes top, because now you know that the jungler can't be there to answer, so there is a potential angle to look for him. And he did just use his Lightning Rush, so I think he's in trouble.
Yeah, there's the flash Q3 from Zeus. The Shy is in trouble. The Lightning Rush is on cooldown. He gets slowed down by the cripple, and the Q's going to land. Owner secures it, and that is first blood for T1.
It's perfect timing from T1, and it's all because of the Raptors ward. It was a clear top to bot from Weiwei, but he wrapped down to try to go towards that bot side scuttle. As soon as they saw him on that ward, they knew they could go for it on top side. Zeus, no hesitation, starts it off with the flash in. But without that E from Kennen, there's just no way you're going to get out of that long lane.
And we will see if Weiwei is able to maybe make a play towards bot side as Owner making his way over to mid.
That's going to safeguard forward there as Faker dashes in, and Xiaohu will survive. Faker just barely managing to walk away. As now they come in. Oh, the grand entrance, phenomenal from Carrier. We'll see whether he can survive though. He's trying to get out. The piercing arrow will do it. And Weibo Gaming even out the scoreline.
Light knocks him down. That was a big kill for them on the bot side. They need something to rally around, and perhaps it is Light in this potentially final game.
Tell you what, that was a pretty cool looking grand entrance though.
And I gotta say, Weibo, again, to me, he is the guy that makes it happen. I think he's been the player that has really impressed me the most here on Weibo. He keeps trying to make these plays, and it's been kind of the saving grace for Weibo in the early game with how much they've been pressured.
And you have to say, it's really concerning to see the Shy die top lane once again here with how Zeus has been playing. If you cannot keep this guy down, he is just on fire. But it is Zeus with no flash, and it is Crisp up on top side. But missing his Ignite, I don't know that you can really go into this wave and try to fight him.
You can see Zeus is going to get some vision down on top of the ward that Weibo already have. And they know that this is where they need to defend, right? You can see the Shy with a couple of wards already invested here towards this top side. Now underneath this turret, Zeus finding these little cues. Magical Journey, definitely a possibility, and Weiwei wants to take it with Crisp here. Let's see whether they can get an angle. 3 versus 1. He does try and get out. There's the World Ender. He's trying to avoid all of this CC, and it's not going to work. There's the kill for Weiwei.
Really good communication there for Weibo. They know that Zeus wants to try and get the wave in, so the Shy is setting himself up as juicy bait, and Zeus takes it.
But the question is, how much do you lose bot side? Because we talked about Light as the hope in this game. Light now is going to be fully zoned off the wave. They lose the Dragon as well, because there was so much time spent topside. They're going to lose at least 1 plate bot, maybe 2, and likely most of, if not all of this wave, because he's totally zoned off until Crisp arrives. So, yes, they do get a kill on top side, but T1 are taking a lot down here on bot as well.
And it's not going to be a Cloud Soul this time around, gentlemen. It is going to be Cloud Drake coming up second, so we will get a different Soul. We'll see what that is going to be a little bit later on. Zeus comes back up towards this top side, about 20 CS down. So the top lane that Weibo have been focusing on is kind of working out, but like you're talking about, so much is going to hinge around Light. Does still have a CS advantage. That bottom side certainly is somewhere that T1 can play through.
And this is also where the early kill on Light, I think, makes a really big difference. Because the fact that he was able to get that kill means that even with him having to give up some of his laning lead and Gumayusi picking up a plate, still going to be in a great position. Gumancaria, though, now taking control as we do have Weiwei here again.
Yeah, Control Ward has come in, of course. Crisp, he can make these tunnels. So they are a little bit closer than you might otherwise expect, but no, not going to pull the trigger on anything, understanding that T1 have full information of what's going on.
Exactly. They knew they've been spotted. They're not sure where Owner is on the map right now, so it would be a risky play if Owner is shadowing them. He is level 6, so Weiwei just going to keep his farm up as much as he possibly can and re-clear that bot side jungle. But Faker, time and time again, has just been pushing out, moving into the enemy jungle, getting a ward down, and now pulls the wave to push towards him. So that entire wave is going to be denied from Xiaohu as it comes in towards Faker, and that's going to even out a lot of the CS in that mid lane.
We can also see that Owner is in that area as well, so setting up for a potential gank. You can see Crisp going to come up, try and make sure that this mid lane is going to be sorted out. And with this wave pretty prepped, this is going to be a very satisfying queue. Oh, Faker doesn't even let us see it.
He just wants to deny even more CS if he can, and now Zeus cheating down. They're trying to get vision on where Weiwei is, and they know he's not going to be in the topside jungle. Owner is there, Zeus is there, Carry is there as well, so they can now move up and potentially start up this Rift Herald because they do have Prio.
And Zeus now back towards his top side with Owner in tow, wanting to get a little bit of revenge. And even though First Blood came in, the Shy still has a CS advantage. Lightning Rush to get him out of there as Owner just mini-stun, kick into the wall. That is going to be the execution, but the ultimate is going to be there from the Shy. And after the flash, he will survive, and now it's Weiwei's turn. Can he actually get this one as Owner about 50%? The safeguard to try and get out the flash for the knockup. It's still there, and Crisp comes in for the kill. They get some knockup. Zeus will survive, but not the Lee Sin. Meanwhile, on the bottom side of the map, the Blade Caller not quite there for Gumayusi. Picture in picture, as you can see, and Faker looking for a little bit more. He connects the backflip, or the shuriken of the backflip, and isn't going to be able to find too much more. So, Weibo should be able to get themselves this Rift Herald.
Really important moment here, because with Belv, if you want to get those early Heralds, it's the Shy actually turning it around this time, staying alive for long enough for reinforcements to come in. Owner and Zeus don't actually get the 100 to 0, and that is the Herald going over to Weiwei.
Yeah, Light just staying his ground. And when you do have the lethal tempo Varus, have to be a little bit scared if you are Gumayusi. So he's going to be going back, but still just a trade of ghosts in the end.
Very close stuff. I mean, both of them had committed their ults in that previous exchange where Guma was chasing him down in that bot lane. But this is Weibo on the brink of despair here in a match point game, being able to stay alive. Nice sidestep on that Q from the Shy, was so clean as he flashes out, but not so far to let them out of that ultimate. Weiwei goes in, everyone is piling up here, but it's Crisp who arrives first.
And it's the failed flash from Owner, right? Just on the edge, sets it up easily for Crisp. Even if he does hit that, I don't know if he gets out because he still has to walk past the wall. Crisp might have been able to clip him with how well he has been playing in this game. And a really big win for Weibo because they're already ahead in gold, but the fact that they will be able to utilize this Herald for a really big game in the side lane with the pressure that it gives the Belva, going to be a really big win.
You can see the Stridebreaker complete now for Weiwei as well. Having that Mythic really powerful on this champion. You queue up on top of them, you slow them down. That sets up your W very, very nicely. And you can usually get a full E channel with that. So we'll see if Weiwei can stay aggressive and if they can keep the Shy in this power position that he has created slightly for himself. You know, not obviously at a massive advantage. And Zeus doing as Zeus always does, building lethality.
Yep, he does very much like to have a bit of burst on this Aatrox, but I like that Weibo have just stuck to their game plan, right? They're playing around topside, they're getting the Shy, like you say, into these positions, and even though Zeus isn't necessarily ridiculously far behind, as you can see in the CS, it's pretty close, but still, the Shy will have these very impactful ultimates, and Weiwei is the benefactor here, sitting at 1-0 and 2, able to get some control on this Bel'Veth, and we know she can be devastating if she gets ahead.
And it's just been kind of this return to more what Weibo showed us in the LPL, this play towards topside, this focus on the Shy. It hasn't been about going towards light and crisp, and potentially that is because Guma and Keria are so hard to attack in a lot of these situations.
Oh, Q going to connect there. Nice little knock up as Keria tries to find it. There's the quickness onto 2. The kick gets the knock up onto Xiaohu. The Empress Divide only gets Ona, but that will get him out. But Weiwei's not going to be so lucky. The Shy got in here, and now he might be in trouble. He breaks the chains, but is he still going to be able to get out? Gumayusi decides he wants to fight light towards the bottom side. That was the right call. Zeus grabs the double kill, and Weibo lose out on the fight.
And while the laning setup is there this time around for Weibo, their early game looking a lot better. The skirmishes, they're still not able to make work, although teleport coming in.
Yeah, teleport from this top side of the river. Xiaohu coming in, looking for the opportunity, doesn't have the ultimate. They secure the Drake, does T1. Grand Entrance not going to find the target there. On to Crisp as the Tempered Fate comes in. Faker trying to play Bouncer to keep his team alive. And the ultimate doesn't really work out here from Crisp. Still, they don't lose too much, even though Xiaohu is on the other side of the map. And they're buying time for the fact that there is just a guy on the top side of the map taking plates.
Yeah, they can't get anything. It's a great ulti from Chris, but no one is there to follow it up. And as you say, Chronicler, again, it's T1 out skirmishing Weibo, who were in that power position coming into this fight, it felt like, but T1 just preempt the play. They press the go button, they find that engage, and they push Weibo out of there. And it's Keria and Owner grouping up and starting this off.
And initially you see Weibo wanting to try and look for something here, but Keria with his charm buys so much time, and then the moment that Faker hits that E on Weiwei, his fate is sealed, flashes over the wall just to die to Zeus, actually giving him the reset. And then this is the point where already as Weibo, you have this incredibly strong like level 6 comp with the Shy, with your ultimate, and they just don't get to use it.
Yeah, and that's just T1 really understanding their position in this game. They find the opportunity, they force the engage. That's one of the really powerful things you can do against comps like Kennen comps, where you just get on this guy, you put him under pressure, you force him to use his ultimate in a situation that he doesn't want, just almost defensively, as they were able to there. And it just means that Weibo now losing that second dragon. This one's going to be an Ocean Soul available, which would be pretty devastating, I think, for their chances. It would mean that the Shy is not going to be able to play through sides at all.
Yeah, exactly. And on the other side, if there was some control here for Weibo, then they can utilize this Varus poke very expertly, right? You can play in that neutral effectively if you can get themselves some of these dragons. 4 of them would seem pretty good, but it also feels a little bit like a pipe dream at this stage. You have a look at the gold though, 300 still in advantage of Weibo. No first turret to go down just yet as the plates fall. Not too many of them going over, but we're having a look at the amount of Drakes that have been stacked, and the fact that T1 once again have a bit of control on this map, I think, is the problem.
They have been dominating the objective game all day, it has felt like. Weibo rarely able to really, get a foot in, it feels like, at these critical objective fights. The setups from T1 have been better. They have been more prepared when these fights are going to break out. And you can see in the MasterCard lane economy snapshot, once again, Zeus now is ahead. And that is going to be so tough for the Shy, because you really are dependent upon these early game leads that you build up as a Kennen to be able to play through sides later on.
And Zeus also has been, not historically, right, has actually had an issue with that, but domestically, outside of finals, been so consistent in even when he is behind, generating value. I remember a Jace game where he went like 0-3 early on.
Yep.
He was still able to output insane amounts of damage, and now he is playing the Lethality Aatrox yet again, the only one who consistently has had success with this specific build.
Oh, Keria is going to get out of the way.
For Weibo, this Herald to me is kind of a must-win. You need to get that, need to break open the map. We'll see if they're able to get it done.
And Weibo are going to have to count on their carries. Xiaohu, Light in a good spot here. You know, Xiaohu has been able to make it happen at many international tournaments. 3 MSI titles for this guy, but Worlds thus far has not been as much about him as it has the others. And maybe this is the time now that he can step up on this Azir, on this comfort pick. Maybe can make that big play that can claw this series back for Weibo, because T1 are coming and they're looking for a fight.
Yep, they're seeing what they can do here as Faker moving into Fog of War. Potential teleport angle here as Light. I don't think he's going to be able to get through that way, but still, Weibo with the Shy on the flank angle. He has Flash available, and now the teleport comes in behind him. Faker wanting to find his angle in. They don't get the knock-up. A little bit of mistiming there from Weiwei, as the Rift Herald is going to reset. She heads back into the pit, and Weibo going to have to start over.
But still, Light could never actually move from mid lane over, because these wards are actually covering his move through the river. He can't actually get over there. He would get engaged on by Keria. He knew it. He read the play, but Weibo can't commit to the Herald without their AD carry being able to join.
At this very least, though, Weibo do force Faker his TP, doesn't get to just push to his heart's content towards that bot side of the map. See if they want to continue trying to contest there, because it looks like T1 not really that interested in the Herald themselves, but very interested in ensuring that Weibo don't pick it up and looking for a fight angle if they do try to commit to it.
You can understand it. Of course, Bel'Veth does quite like securing those Heralds. Crown now complete. Xiaohu moving towards his Nash's Tooth. Not necessarily the most damage, but will have a lot of consistent impact in a lot of these fights as well. And avoiding getting burst down, certainly going to be very, very strong. As Faker picks up this top wave closer to Herald, does make a lot of sense. And we've got 1 second on this Dragon, which is where T1 are going to put their attention. Crisp gets over the wall with the tiny little magical journey. It's going to work out, though.
Yeah, they are going to be able to have the inside track on this Dragon. Faker was up on the top side, has no TP, so he has to run down. As Xiaohu is pushed in bot, the Shy will answer topside, but they don't really have any deep wards for him to TP to, so if he does join, it will be very much so on Weibo's side of the fight.
Now Faker just going to backflip away from the knockup from Weiwei. So Weibo not going to find too much there. As Ona in the river. Zeus just clearing out this Gromp, wanting to get some control back in. Looks like T1 happy to start off this Drake, although it's not behaving itself all that much. Keria, with all of his buttons up and available, the engage potential is going to be there. Control ward just eviscerated here. As T1 trying to do the same thing. Teleport now to come forward. As Zeus on that flank angle. The Shy now here. And Gumayusi pretty safe now on that back line.
Look at Keria, though. It's so hard for Weibo to walk up because Keria is on that sideline. They know he's there.
Yeah, he flashes in. He finds himself. The charm on DeFore is there. It is the ultimate from the Shy, but it just doesn't quite do enough. They try and get out, but Faker has the perfect execution and locks down his fellow ninja. Xiaohu now taking a whole lot of damage, and Faker is in the shroud. He's toying with him. It's a double kill. What? Somewhere and back in again. It's a triple for Faker. Zeus is going to be able to help lock down the next one. Faker eventually goes down, but it's 4 for him and Keria.
And that is T1 turning the situation around. Their health bars are low. Not all of Weibo's cooldowns actually hit the mark, but it doesn't matter. They're still looking pretty good. If only they could take down Faker. But they don't. The reinforcements come in, and T1 set up Soul Point.
They just can't. Light fishes with the Q, won't get it. It's T1, 1 game from the World Championship. It's T1, 1 Dragon from Soul. And Keria gets spotted. He says, great, I'm going to engage. Both your Soul Laners are stacked up. Keria goes right in, knocks them both up. The Bard ulti comes through there. I think it was meant to protect the Shy and Xiaohu, but it kind of backfired as it immuned the ulti coming through from the Shy.
And from Xiaohu, that was 2 ultimates that just didn't find their mark. The anti-synergy, really rough for Weibo here with their backs against the wall. They just don't find the angle, and that is Soul Point set up. A triple kill for Faker on Akali, a champion that, well, of course, we knew he could play, but we hadn't seen this year just yet.
I tell you what, it's pretty poignant seeing him play Sylas and Akali in this series, though, after what happened last year. Just showing that it doesn't really matter what the meta's like. Faker's there. There is always going to be an opportunity. Just kind of cute after what had happened.
I mean, the man is the meta. This guy has been around forever, and it is so impressive to see how well he is playing, because I don't think you could make the argument that he has been the best performing mid laner individually since 2017. This year, you can make that argument. He has been tearing it up. He's been great in lane, has really been impressive in team fights, and it just feels like a rejuvenated Faker.
And he goes again, as now Oner looking for that opportunity as well. Backflip connects also as the perfect execution comes forward. Has he overstepped? The answer is no, because he had the stopwatch anyway, and now the cavalry comes in. Crisp, the next to go down. Wei, he's under a turret. Zeus flashes on top. The lethal Aatrox gonna get it done, and T1, they feel like it's Baron time.
It's the king at home. Respect the name. Faker, the greatest of all time. Styling on him in Seoul.
And Light desperately trying to get something going here. Not going to be the case.
He's not going to be allowed to, because Faker wants to keep his whole house alive as well, but it's not going to work out. He goes into the Shroud. I don't know whether this is necessarily the fight that you want to take, but Xiaohu's going to turn up. Faker is going to get out. The Baron secured here for T1 on all 5 members as we tick just past 21 minutes.
And as we take another look here, you see how ready T1 is, right? Everyone already on their way. And this cannon, not in the greatest of spots, uses his ultimate only on Faker, stays alive with the stopwatch, and then that ultimate from Chris doesn't hit the mark.
And how clean is that from Oner? I think it was a drive-by smite kill as he had queued Wei, going past the cannon, smites him down out of the air. Everyone from T1, they are feeling it. They know they are potentially 1-2 fights away from claiming this elusive title. That this team, that now is the roster with the most international games played together all time of any roster in history, has not been able to claim that title. They are getting so damn close to it.
Incredibly. It's just over 4,000 gold the lead. They have Soul Point available as well. And Keria showing absolute mastery on this Rakan as well. This is something that he has been extraordinarily feared on, and this was, in fact, when we were touting Gumayusi and Keria as the greatest bottom lane in the world, it was when they were playing champions like this. It's when they were flexing the meta so incredibly much. But Keria's engages, always absolutely fantastic. We'll see whether he can utilize those alongside this extraordinary play that we've already seen from Zeus and Oner in the previous games, and especially Faker here in this one.
And this is the moment, I think, for Xiaohu in particular. You need to find a hero play. You need to get multiple people. And it's really hard because, as we see, the Baron power play for T1, upwards of 2k gold. They're setting up for an Ocean Soul in about a minute. And everyone on T1 has so much mobility. But if they don't find a play like that and the game plays out the way it has, there is just no way. You need to get a Xiaohu to Shy Wombo combo, possibly set up by Crisp, and give Light an opportunity to pop off, because otherwise T1's going to get Soul, they're going to get the next Baron, and they're going to win the series. And Keria
gonna get knocked up here as Oner comes on over. He's here to protect his support. The quickness ties them all up, and Xiaohu going to be the next target. He finds 2 with the Emperor's Divide, but Crisp just evaporates. Wei going to suffer the same fate as Zeus is on the warpath. Light able to sidestep, finds the Chains of Corruption, but there's not enough damage. Xiaohu decent flash to try and get himself out, but he's not out of the woods yet as Faker tidies up that kill, and they are just so far ahead. Oner secures Light with a Sonic Wave, and the Shy finds himself alone heading back towards his base. That's the double kill. That's the clean ace for T1.
And T1, Weibo tried. They know they have to contest this dragon. They have to contest the Soul, but they're not even given the opportunity. They thought they got Keria, but Keria says, come get me.
And it looks to me like they're going to take this inhibitor and move back. It may not be the end of the series, but it might be the last moment that Weibo felt hope in it. As Crisp clearing out some control vision. Oner wants to grab himself a Soul to finish this game off on.
And T1 are just on fire. All 5 players in this final game here, potentially playing out of their minds. They are 5 brains, 1 player. It's like everything is perfectly coordinated. They think they've caught Keria, but everyone from T1 piles in lightning fast. Oner is here. Zeus pops the ulti fast for the move speed from the top side. Faker coming in from the bottom. T1 collapses from every angle, and Weibo are wiped from the map.
And there's nothing to do, right? The moment that they're not able to 100-0 anyone on T1, as soon as reinforcements arrive, you're gonna get blown up. And the gold leads, as Light desperately tries to at least get Zeus, won't even get that.
It's heartbreaking as now they take a magical journey over Zeus. He likes this one though, 1 versus 3. He's absorbing so much, the Emperor's Divide. It comes in, but he's still alive. What is going on? Faker Tiny's up the first. Everyone's just exploding as Weiwei trying to get something done, but it does not matter. T1 are too strong.
4 times T1 has lost in a game 5. 4 times they've been knocked out, and 4 times they have got back up for this moment.
It was 7 years since their last, a decade since their first. The SKT legacy has been reignited. T1 will be your 2023 World Champions.
It took them 2 years to win a title again. Spring 2021, this roster came up, they stomped the LCK, they stomped the playoffs, and then at MSI we started to see the cracks. And then last year at Worlds it felt like they'd been able to recuperate from all that, but it wasn't the case. It took them 1 more year to take the lessons that they'd learned in 2022.
And so many had doubts after what had happened in the summer split. But you can see that joy on this team. And you can see the devastation on the side of Weibo as they look on. T1, they must feel like this is a long time coming. They had to work so incredibly hard to get here to this stage.
And how much sweeter that victory has to be after time and time and time again. This T1 roster tasted the bitter defeat. They were the ones on the receiving end of these losses. It started to feel like they might never be able to do it.
You can see as we head towards the trophy ceremony presented by Mercedes-Benz. The Summoners Cup, beautiful, crafted by Tiffany and Co. T1 finally hoisting it with the new name. SKT was their name when they had the first 3, and now this team that so many adore will finally hoist the Summoners Cup.
They've waited for it. Last year, the story wasn't about them. But this year it is. All the pent-up emotion for this team, all the disappointment, it's led to this.
And what an incredible run. With 4 LPL teams remaining, T1 were the last team from any other region, let alone the LCK. They took down BLG 2-0. They swept LNG. They crumbled JDG's Golden Road. And now, here in the finals, another sweep, absolute domination against Weibo. There is no doubt who the greatest team in the world today is.
And you can see Faker especially looking on while his teammates are raising the cup as well. He's done it 3 times. This is the first time, and he'll hoist it for the 4th. I can't believe it. The GOAT has bookended his first decade with 3 zeros over the LPL, but let's recap this incredible Worlds run by your world champion,
Hometown
T1.
heroes T1 are defending the honor of the LCK.
They had a very shaky summer, 9-9. But it is still T1. It is still the number 2 seed from the LCK.
But here's Summit just by himself, finds himself, and the Magnus Storm on 3. It's gigantic, and Summit's going all out to just roll over the top of TL. T1 are going to take the first game of Swiss.
페이커 같이 죽여! 캐리어 들어옵니다! 와! 나 대경이야! 캐리어 쳤는데요?
This is the team that T1 fans wanted.
Entrada sensacional do Honor!
Baker predicts Ruler's flash. He gets there first. He catches him with the ultimate. And
오랫동안 수많은 팀의 상승과 하락을 지켜봤습니다. 끝에 서 있던 사람은 항상 저입니다.
But Zeus has found two with the ultimate light. Goes down so low, but isn't going to survive. Wei Wei trying to get himself out of there, and the Shy is given up on. Remember, they don't have a turret here. The Charm is going to split them. Carrier tries to get it to rest. He goes forward and then just explodes, and then Ona thinks that that's his moment. It's a double again.
리그 오브 레전드 월드 챔피언십 영광의 우승팀은 T1입니다. 축하드립니다. 자, T1 팀의 우승을 기념할 메르세데스 벤츠 트로피 세레머니는요, 리그 오브 레전드 e스포츠 글로벌 총괄을 맡고 계시는 나즈 알레하타 총괄님, 라이엇 게임즈 딜런 자데자 CEO님, 라이엇 게임즈 존 니덤님, e스포츠 사장님과 함께 하도록 하겠습니다. 큰 박수로 환영해 주시기 바랍니다.
Thank you so much, Heiji. T1, congratulations, our 2023 League of Legends World Champions. Your journey has been exceptional. Your legacy is forever cemented, and you have given the world peak League of Legends. We are so honored to present you with the Summoners Cup and the 2023 championship rings. On behalf of League of Legends and Riot Games, congratulations. I also would like to take a moment to thank the cities of Seoul and Busan for sharing their home with us this last month. Korea is the birthplace of esports, and you have delivered an unforgettable world. 감사합니다. Please join us in congratulating your champions, T1.
Thank you.
네, 영광의 순간입니다. 자, 여러분, 월드 2023 챔피언 T1을 다시 한번 큰 박수로 맞아주시기 바랍니다. 네, 오늘 정말 흥미진진하고 압도적이었던 대결이 펼쳐졌던 결승전의 영광의 우승자는 바로 T1이었습니다. 이 T1 선수들과 인터뷰 나눠보도록 하겠습니다. 자, 그렇다면
the winner
먼저 제우스
interview.
선수와 인터뷰 나눠보도록 하겠습니다.
Top laner Zeus.
네, 제우스 선수.
Zeus.
역시
This is the national team top laner. You were performing out of your mind today. How do you feel right now?
일단 작년부터 올해까지 되게 많은 일들이
We
있었고
had a
시련도
lot of
많이
ups and downs. We
겪었는데
had so many hardships starting from last year, but I think this moment at Worlds repays everything. I thought I would be crying, but I'm not actually in tears.
예상할 수 있어서 그렇지 않았을까 조심스레 짐작을 해봅니다. 오늘 더샤이를
Today,
상대로 함께
your lane opponent was the Shy. How was it?
되게 긴장도
I
많이
was
하고
quite nervous. You know, I was pretty much worried as well.
또 이렇게
But
많은 경기 이렇게 많은 팬분들 앞에서 안 떨고
the moment I started playing in front of so many fans here, I was not able to feel nervous. I was actually very confident, so I was able to pull off a decent performance. Thank you so much.
이어서 이제 월드 우승까지
Zeus, you won the gold medal at the Asian Games, and now you're a world champion. What is your plan or goal as a League of Legends professional player?
연도를 봤을 때
I mean, I can say I achieved a lot of achievements this year, but at the same time, all the other players will step it up starting next year. So I want to say I want to enjoy the moment of being the best top laner until the end of this year, and I will keep grinding.
내일은 또 다시 도전자의 마음으로 돌아간다고 하는 겸손한 제우스 선수였습니다. 승리 진심으로
Once again, congratulations.
네, 이어서
Now
오너
let's hear
선수와
from T1's jungle owner.
네, 오너 선수 그토록 원하던 첫
Finally,
우승에 거머쥐게 됐습니다. 소감
You managed to win your first Worlds title. How do you feel? Over the course of 3 years, you know, it was not easy. You know, I was going through a lot of ups and downs, but in the end, I was able to lift up the trophy. It feels amazing. I really, really wanted to win Worlds with the 5 players on T1's roster, and in the end, we made it. I don't know how things will turn out next year, but it just means a lot that we managed to win the Worlds trophy in the end, all together as a team. A great accomplishment by Zeus, Owner, Faker, Gumayusi, and Kyria in the end. Owner, starting from quarterfinals, you guys were the last hope of the LCK. Did you feel extra burden? Not really, you know, it was happening in Korea, and also all the other teams are really strong and talented anyway, so I was not worried about our opponents. I just tried my best to enjoy every moment, and because of that, we were able to get such a great outcome today.
즐기는 마음으로 이렇게 월즈를 치러주셨기 때문에 좋은 결과 있었던 것 같습니다. 오너 선수 이번 월즈에서 정말 멋진 말을 많이 보여주셨는데요. 지금의 기분을
How would you like to describe how you feel right now? Your interviews left so many great quotes.
일단은 뭐 인터뷰에서 많이 말했듯이 그냥
I mentioned this multiple times in previous interviews.
일단 제일 예쁜 꽃이 여기서
You know, today we were able to finally bloom the prettiest, the most beautiful flower.
가장 아름다운 T1 꽃이 여기 활짝 피었습니다. 승리 진심으로
After multiple setbacks and hardships, T1 finally bloomed at the best moment possible. Now let's hear from the mid laner of T1, the Faker, the unkillable Demon King.
새로운 역사를 또 써내려갔습니다.
Faker, you wrote another history, 4 times champion. How do you feel?
기분 좋고요. 네,
Feels great.
무엇보다도 이렇게 많은 분들이
Plus,
있는 앞에서 경기를 할 수 있었다는
I'm just happy that I got to play in front of such a big audience. You know, who we are playing up against doesn't matter. I'm always really grateful that I can perform on stage.
페이커 선수 아까 초반에 나왔던
Faker,
영상에서
earlier today in the matchup teaser, you mentioned that the 4th Worlds title will be for my team. What does that exactly mean?
앞서 말씀드렸다시피 저는 사실
Well,
승패보다는
just like I said just now,
이제 저로 인해서
I'm just happy that
그리고 저희 팀원들도
the people are happy by watching me perform, and I hope my teammates are also happy by playing together with me. So I wanted to just share joy and happiness with all the people around me.
그렇다면 페이커 선수 함께
Then
고생한
Faker, would you like to say anything to your teammates?
다들 너무 고생 많았고
Great job, everyone. I know you guys worked so hard for this moment. Thank you so much.
페이커 선수 사실 이번 월드
Faker.
정말 엄청난 퍼포먼스를 보여주면서 다시 한번 리빙
You
레전드
have proven yourself as a living legend by popping off in every game possible. And you said you keep wanna, you know, going on as a professional player. What is your plan as a professional player now that you achieved everything? You know, still I learned so much from this matchup as well, so I just want to become a better and greater player. Lastly, anything you want to say to the fans? It's been so long since I last won Worlds, so it feels surreal right now. But I just want to say thank you to all the fans out there, and I will keep working hard for my fans.
선수와 인터뷰 나눠봤습니다.
Thank you very much, Faker, and congratulations one more time. And now let's hear from Gumayusi.
역대급 우승 도전에 성공을 했습니다.
You finally made it. You are the world champion. How do you feel? Feels good
네,
and amazing.
기분이 좋다. 이렇게 짧은 한마디에 정말 많은 감정이 느껴지는 것 같습니다. 계속해서 바텀 구도가
I think
핵심이었습니다.
it all came down to the bot lane matchup. How did you prepare the draft and comp today? Before I answer to that question, can I add on to my first answer?
어떠신가요?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead. How do you feel right now?
하나님께 감사와 영광 돌리고요.
Thank you, my dear Lord. And
저희
also, I want to say thank you to all the coaching staff, our GM, our COO, our manager. They worked so hard for us. I really appreciate their hard work. I don't think I was performing really well today, but my teammates, they're doing a great job. So we won the finals. It feels like a dream.
선수단에게 너무
I want to say thank you to everyone on the side of T1, especially Keria.
또 오늘 바텀 듀오로 멋지게 활약한 캐리아 선수에게 감사함을 표했습니다. 오늘 그렇다면
today,
바텀 듀오가 준비한 뱀픽.
What was the key to the bot lane composition with you and Keria?
오면서 이제 바텀의 그런
I
모든
think we
픽들이
kind of
다 서로 가능한 상태였어.
showed everything we can do throughout our competition at Worlds. So we knew what we're gonna do and also what potentially the opponents are gonna do. So we were going through a lot of potential matchups, and we were like, let's take this and let's kind of like deal with this picks if they take it.
팬들의 선행을 보면서 간절함을 느꼈다라고
And you also
이야기했던
mentioned that
선수인데요.
by seeing all the LCK and T1 fans doing good stuff to make T1 win Worlds, you were also happy and could tell how desperate your fans are. Anything you want to say to them?
한 번에 3등을 했었는데.
So it was not easy. I know we ended up being a runner-up for like 5-6 times. Sometimes we even ended up on 3rd place. I know our fans were really thirsty and desperate for this moment, but I want to say thank you so much for your continuous support.
자, 이어서 캐리아 선수에게
Now, let's hear from Keria, the support player on the side of T1. Congratulations on winning World Championship.
캐리아 선수 드디어 뉴진스
You finally met New Jeans, and you finally won Worlds. How do you feel?
일단 유진씨도 봐서 좋고.
I'm happy that I got to see New Jeans. I'm happy that I won Worlds. Right now, it feels unreal. I feel like I'm over the clouds. I feel like I'm dreaming.
지금까지 있었던 과정들이 좀
I
많이
just keep thinking about all the process that we were working hard for this moment. I'm really happy, but also I'm just feeling nostalgic about the 3 years that we spent together for this moment.
T1입니다. 캐리아 선수 오늘 정말
Keria.
월드를 치르면서 가장 만족스럽다라고 느끼셨던 부분이 있으실까요?
What do you think went well today, or maybe what was the favorite moment of Worlds this year?
잘
I
준비했다고
think
생각해서
our preparations were really on point in quarters and semifinals, and because of that, we made it to the finals. Today, gameplay-wise, I'm not really happy, but my teammates were popping up. I can hear the crowds are saying no. I really appreciate that.
선수분들과 이제 감독 코치님들이
All the players, all the coaching staff were working hard in order to achieve this moment. So I am really happy and grateful.
내년을 바라봐야 할 텐데요. 앞으로의 계획.
Keria, what is your plan heading into next year? Now that you're a world champion. All my teammates were, speaking some fancy words, so I'm gonna follow them. I'm just gonna, enjoy this moment for about a couple of days, and then I'm gonna get back to the grind. I always have to keep working hard, so I wish I can keep on showcasing the best performance and best result possible to my fans.
진심으로 축하드립니다. 이어서 톰 임재영 감독 대행님과도 인터뷰 나눠보겠습니다.
Now let's hear from Tom, the interim head coach for T1.
감독 대행으로서 월드 첫 우승입니다. 소감이 남다르실 것 같은데
How do you feel
어떠세요?
winning Worlds as an interim head coach, the first year leading T1?
우여곡절이 많았는데
This year was not easy, but in the end, it's a happy ending.
일단 지금
So right now it feels just surreal and amazing.
사실 감독님이 고생 정말 많으셨잖아요.
I can tell, you know, you and your coaching staff were working so hard because the drafting was the key point with you and Weibo. What did you focus on the most?
또 상대가 양대인.
We were, yeah, Weibo also had Danny. So we wanted to make sure that we can kind of be more
준비했던 것 같습니다.
thoroughly prepared for the matchup and compositions and draftings.
진심으로 축하드립니다. 이어서 코치님과도 인터뷰 나눠보도록 하겠습니다.
Moving on to Roach,
네,
coach on the side of T1. Congratulations, Roach.
네. 월드 우승을 함께한 소감 여쭤봐야겠죠?
How do you feel at the moment?
선수를 할 때나 이 팀에
When I was performing as a professional player or when I just joined T1 as a coach, I really wanted to, you know,
선수들에게 좋은 경험을
be standing here once in a lifetime, and I finally made it. You know, we only have 7 people standing on stage at the moment, but not only us, but also Sky, our manager, our GM, all the staff on the side of T1 worked so hard and supported us, and also our fans. Because of their support and love, we were able to make it happen. Is there anything you want to say to the T1 fans?
마무리를 그래도 잘 한
I
것
think
같아요.
we were able to end the year on a very good note. It's a big relief, but we will keep, you know, going on. We will keep challenging for another title. So I will look forward to your continuous support.
코치님까지 인터뷰를 나눠봤습니다.
Thank you very much, everyone.
오늘의 이 월드 챔피언으로서 정말
I know
잘해줬지만
all 5 players and also the coaching staff were doing a fantastic job winning Worlds today. But let's find out who is gonna be the Finals MVP, the Oppo Finals MVP today.
세계 각 지역을 대표하는 전문가 패널의 투표를 기반으로 해서
네,
오픈
있어요.
파이널 MVP가 선정이 됐습니다.
It is time to reveal the Oppo Finals MVP of Worlds 2023.
MVP는
It's gonna be Zeus on the top lane. Congratulations.
네, 제우스 선수 오늘 MVP까지 이렇게 월드 우승에 이어서
Congratulations, Zeus.
인터뷰 잠깐 나눠보겠습니다. 제우스 선수
Zeus.
월드 2023 우승에 이어서 오늘
You won
MVP까지
Worlds and you won the Finals MVP. Were you expecting this?
이제 제 상대 말라이너가
Last year, my opponent laner won Finals MVP, and I was watching him winning the Finals MVP in the backstage. It was another year of me ending up being a runner-up.
열심히 하다 보면
I was like, well, this happened again, but I was like, maybe if I just keep working hard, there will be my moment. And somehow, I was able to make it happen in the end. I want to say thank you to my friends and family, and also Khan, who helped me so much during Asian Games. And also, of course, T1 and my players. And also,
저 이제 뱅기 배성
Bengi, who used to be the head coach of T1.
벤기 감독이 보고 계시면 또 너무 기분 좋아하실 것 같습니다. 그렇다면 우리 또 팬분들이 엄청난 환호를
And
보내주셨는데요.
also, Zeus,
팬분들께도 한마디
would you like to say
부탁드릴게요.
anything to the fans?
진짜 올해 너무 롤 너무
I
많이
played
한것
so many leagues this year. It was really hard.
이렇게 팬분들
But thanks to your support, I was able to keep myself motivated.
앞으로도 항상
I
좋은
will
모습
make sure to always show the best performance possible for my fans. Once again, this is your 2023 Worlds Oppo Finals MVP, Zeus.
자, 이렇게 해서 월드 우승 V4라는 대기록을 세우면서 다시 한번 세계 최고임을 입증한 T1입니다. 승리 다시 한번 진심으로 축하드립니다. 2023 리그 오브 레전드 챔피언십 한 달이 넘는 긴 여정 동안 정말 많은 일들이 있었습니다. 전 세계 모든 팀들과 그리고 스태프분들, 선수의 친구들과 가족분들 정말 많은 응원과 애정을 보내주셨는데요. 또 개최에 힘써주신 서울시와 부산시 덕분에 이 자리가 더욱더 빛날 수 있었습니다. 이번 월즈에 보내주신 전 세계 팬 여러분들의 응원과 열정, 그리고 리그 오브 레전드를 향한 변함없는 애정 역시도 진심으로 감사하다는 말씀 드리고 싶습니다. 자, 이제 2023 리그 오브 레전드 월드 챔피언 T1 팀의 트로피 세레머니와 함께 여기서 인사드리겠습니다. 그럼 선수분들 트로피 앞쪽으로 이동을 해주시고요. 소환사의 컵을 들어 올려주시기 바랍니다. 2023 리그 오브 레전드 월드 챔피언 T1입니다. 큰 박수 부탁드립니다.
What an absolutely monumental showing out of T1. Emily called it at the top of the day, 3-0. They are not going to let anything to chance, and they did not.
Out of all the predictions I made, I think this is the only one that was actually correct.
Important one.
In terms of game score, and but no, like I can't stress enough just how awesome it's been to watch this team. I really fell in love with them in 2022 spring when they were just absolutely dominating in LCK, and watching them for so long kind of go to these international finals, fall just short, especially after, again, this split. I cannot stress enough how much criticism players like Owner and Zeus were getting from the community, and how, honestly, like, poorly they looked for a lot of their conditions throughout summer.
Money shot.
When Faker was out with an injury. It's so amazing and cathartic to see this moment for this team.
That's what makes it so much sweeter, that they did drop and have to pick themselves back up again.
We called it the grind, the glory for this year, and I think they've deserved it. We saw Faker there, of course, with the trophy, and just, 10 years ago, he did it for the first time. The trophy isn't getting any lighter, but the crown isn't getting any lighter either.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely insane to see from Faker, and the fact that as well they get to do it in such a dominant fashion. They matched two of the most dominant runs we've ever seen in the World Playoffs. Samsung Galaxy in 2017 and SKT from 2015, matching their own run right the way back many, many years ago. It's such an impressive feat to see what T1 have become at the World Championship.
And they only dropped a single game to the LPL. All 4 seeds beat every single one of them. Only one game dropped. Absolute perfection.
It's fantastic. And to do it right here in Korea, we didn't really mention it that much, but South Korea is one of the reasons why esports is what it is, as we see Guma, who has a whole family of people that are great at gaming, and a StarCraft legend also. In general, it's just such a beautiful moment, and I almost think, was it all for this? The 2 years of the heartbreaks for the T1 fans, for the organization, for the players themselves, even on the biggest stage. But this is what you get in return for all your hard work.
And it's the fact that every single one of them stepped up at different times over the course of this playoffs. Obviously, we were talking a heap about Gumayushi and Kerry in that bottom side. But I mean, the fact you saw Zeus step up here today to clinch that World Finals MVP, when you look towards how good Owner was in the jungle, not only here, but over the course of playoffs as well. And obviously, you could talk at length about Faker. But every single person on this team had their moment and had to do it to get here.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that I still want to stress about this team is like the fact that they came in, you were looking at how they were going to play, you were looking at JDG. A lot of people were like, JDG has the golden road, the meta hasn't changed at all. Basically, this team said, no, like, we will dictate the pace of the meta, and as it evolves, Keria was there every step of the way, kind of being a pioneer. So when even other teams kind of took a lot of the support and bot lane picks, it was T1 who were still dictating the pace and what was happening, and you saw they had really good answers and thought behind so many of their moves throughout every single series in this tournament.
I think if you're looking at the tournament overall, Keria might be my overall MVP.
Okay, yeah.
Zeus definitely deserves it here for finals. Him and Owner had really big games. Faker, as you said, popping off in the last one
Yeah.
as well, especially.
It's so interesting because we were watching the JDG match as well, and it almost seemed like it's a pre-final, of course, almost, but today, I don't want to say it, but we had them as huge favorites, and for Weibo, was it a collapse or was it just the fact that T1 was that much stronger? How do you want to put it?
That was just Weibo. That's just Weibo to the T. I mean, this team can, on the day, look like the best team in the world, but it can oftentimes fall apart because you do have players that are so coin flippy, like the Shy, Xiaohu not stepping up, and even when we look towards, you know, how a lot of these fights were going, a lot of them were progressing on that knife's edge, and Weibo very quickly turned it into themselves.
Yeah, it's true. For T1 also, we've said it before, but now we often say that LPL is like the most gruesome qualifying bracket for Worlds. Well, T1 ran through all of them to make it to this title, which is so impressive, especially when you look at the history between these two regions and the fact that T1 wasn't necessarily the team you would have chosen out of the LCK to make this run.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were highlighting Gen G as like on the opposite side of the bracket as the other LCK team, or the LCK team that might make the most noise at this tournament. I think it's also for T1, like specifically, and again, this roster, like I loved hearing from Zeus being like, oh wow, someone
That's awesome.
I loved hearing from Zeus being like, last year I saw Kingen across from me get this MVP award, right? And it like tore me up.
Yeah.
And so now to see him step on stage, I also would shout out Owner throughout this tournament. Again, I think I cannot stress enough what a amazing performance he has had throughout Worlds, especially compared to his summer, and to have that happen, to be that player for his team is amazing.
And I think it's been incredible to see that, like, we had the T1 obviously from spring that was incredibly strong, and we did see that shift back in towards this meta, but like every single time T1 took to the stage, they were massively prepared for their opponents. I mean, you can see it up against JDG where they were forcing these like picks were missing, has to go into the Alistar, into these terrible matchups, so that then they're prepared. They come into today and Faker's able to bring out the Akali and have an insane performance because they're ready for what Xiaohu wants to play. There is so much work that has gone into this, let alone the fact that every single part of them has been incredible. And T1 really did silence them here today.
I love it. He's like, I'm gonna do it, and then immediately a little smile, like, oh, I'm a good guy. Like,
and when we talk about the LPL, I think one of the things that I know you and I have both stressed, Rob, is how different all of these LPL teams are, right? In terms of playstyle, in terms of how they see the game. So to see T1 go through every single one of them, have good game plans, having prepared
the squeal
for every single one of them, and have to go through different playstyles, and also to have T1 be this team that's like, we are going to play so aggressively, we are going to smash you early, which I think people initially, at least whenever I would talk about this team, had trouble wrapping their heads around because they had old, slow T1 still in their minds, and that team was never like that.
The heart synergy is not on point, sorry.
And then to see them go through all of these teams with different playstyles from the LPL, no one can contest how good this team is.
I just think that Faker especially deserves that shush to the audience. You know, everybody had started to doubt that he would be able to do it again. People were like, okay, Faker, is he ever going to be able to get back to it? And he worked his way all the way back here to make it so complete now with a 4th World Championship on top of it. It is crazy.
There's no one who can ever catch him.
No.
At this stage, I mean, a 10-year-long career with a 40% win rate in World Championships is kind of nuts. Like, that stat in its own sake is just mind-boggling.
People are still like, okay, yeah, he's the GOAT, but the GOAT is getting old, you know, maybe he doesn't have the hands anymore. He had the hands.
Yo, the volley game.
He was magnificent.
It was crazy. It's so cool to see, and as we've discussed also before, it's those purely the numbers, absolutely, but it's also his influence on this esports. I would even wager he's one of the reasons why this esport and this sport is so incredibly big.
Oh yeah, he is definitely, he is League of Legends. He is competitive League of Legends. I have to say as well, for the T1 team, like there is also no way that this is ever going to not be Korea's favorite team ever.
Yeah.
After being the only hope in the tournament and having all the pressure on them.
Do you think they're still gonna go their separate ways? They can't now.
Oh my God! If the team
It's
breaks up
working.
still, it's going to be such a heartbreak.
I have some disappointing news for you guys. I think they still might.
I mean, either way,
We'll see.
I think it's still an incredible moment for T1 and for Faker. 10 years ago, the LPL got their first ever finals at the World Championship stage against Faker and against SKT, and they couldn't overcome them. And 10 years later, it's still the same final boss that they can't overcome. And it's incredible to see that T1 have been able to keep what has been such a world-class level for such a long period of time. And finally to have the other 4 members on this team picked up more than a well-deserved win and more than a well-deserved title is such a momentous moment, not only for like this team, but also, as you say, for the esport as a whole.
It's crazy. Hey, Kobe, you tweeted it, but what skins do you think we're looking at?
I was thinking the Jace top for Zeus.
Yeah?
You know the story around his name and his mom suggesting it to him because it does sound like his Korean name. And the God of Lightning is so intertwined with some of his favorite champions, with the Jace, with the Kennen and
So
stuff.
not Volley Bear?
That'll be my vote. When I return and I get back. But maybe something like that for him. For Owner, the Lee Sin, he got to pull it out in the finals a bunch. It has been magnificent for him. Every jungler also loves Lee Sins, and that sells really well. So maybe something like that. Faker's always talked about the Ahri.
Yeah.
So maybe he can finally get his Ahri skin.
Oh, right.
The bottom lane is a little more difficult because they're so versatile.
Yes.
I would love a Gumaveris because I thought he had those crazy plays, but he is also wanted the Draven, so maybe he goes to
Draven is pretty cool.
Maybe he goes the Draven route.
Yeah.
Carrion could get an AD carry too, or Bard, or
I want to
support
petition.
team to support.
Yeah, I want to petition Carrier to do the Tom Kench because Carrier's Tom Kench. I just love it. It's so aggressive. I don't know. It'd be great.
Wow. Really exciting. Another side quest, something we can talk about a lot. We do have a little bit of time to kind of talk about this win as we're setting up for our own interview, I believe, with Faker and Laura and G-Sen. But as you can imagine, a lot of people want to talk to him. That's a
Tell the way it goes.
Probably everyone. So let's talk a little bit also about, we can talk about the future because we don't know what lays in the future. I would just say, to agree with everyone else, that it would be incredibly sad if it doesn't go on, because I feel like you've worked on this for 2 years, and the task couldn't be more difficult because you start this project where anything but a Worlds victory and an MSI victory and all the LCK titles and hopefully any other title that you can grab is the absolute minimum of what you can get. And it's now worked out, right? So surely they deserve, from a fan perspective, from us, we want to see them play more, right?
Deserved, yeah.
Yeah, I think the other thing is this roster